Howdy folks. I wanted to show you my solution on living with a floor-based center mount joystick on a computer that is not dedicated to flight sims. Although I do use this for flying sessions several times a week, I also use it every day for regular computing. So I didn't want to have to crawl over my center joystick every time I wanted to use the computer. This right now in its current configuration is in a stowed position. So this would be the position I would use when I'm doing my normal computing. Now let's set us up for a flight. First thing we're going to do is to slide in my keyboard out of the way. And down here, this is the base. This is a sliding base that I created using off-the-shelf parts at a local hardware store and basic hand tools. The only additional hand tool besides basic hand tools was a hand-powered drill. So let's go ahead and move it into position here. Goes to the stop. There's a pin lock here that gets a quarter of a turn. Rock it back and forth to make sure it's locked. And there we are. Now we have virtually no movement. The base is attached to drawer slides. These drawer slides are designed originally for vertical mounting. However, we're using it in the horizontal mount position here. So we would next turn this on to let it calibrate. And this is a force feedback joystick that I built from a kit, and I'm extremely happy with it. And you can do a search on FFBeast and get all the information online. All right, it's calibrated. We are now in a position where we are ready to start flying. So let me bring it over to a stowed position again and give you a little closer look at just how I did all this. We're going to turn this pin just a quarter of a turn, pull it up in a quarter of a turn, and now it slides out of the way. Now this cover here is just a doormat that I cut to size, rubber doormat cut to size, and it's attached to this base here with some Velcro on each side. The reason it's attached this way, I can slide it back and forth, and the mat goes with it. I don't have to pick it up and store it or anything like that. The mat serves two purposes. One is that it protects the tracks and the bearings from dust and dirt. It also makes it less of a trip hazard and a comfortable place when you're putting your feet during normal computing. So let's go ahead and remove this protective pad here. And this way you'll get a little better view of what the sliding shelf looks like underneath. Okay. So again here, showing the sliding shelf. That will be the full flight position. Again, with a pull up the pin. Get right here. There we go. And now we're locked. Pull this out. And now we're unlocked. Just that simple. Slide it back and forth. And as you can see, it's one finger to move it back and forth. It is very smooth, very easy to do. Let me switch sides here, and you can see the basic components I used to build this sliding shelf. All right. The first part of the sliding shelf is this right here, which is just a simple bookshelf. I built mine 12 inches in width. And these are, you can get pre-finished in all sorts of different type of finishes. And again, it's off the shelf in any hardware store. The next item I used were the sliding drawer slides, ball bearing drawer slides. These are actually bought in pairs, and I used 16-inch just because that was the distance I needed to move from one side to the other, from a stowed position to a center position. Now the drawer slides, as I slide this out, you'll see that the different slides actually raise up from the surface. All right, that needs to be supported, and that's where this right here, which is just a self-adhesive flooring, cut with scissors to size as you need it. It's 1/16 of an inch in width, or 3 millimeter. All of these items, all the hardware and stuff are mounted using blind nuts, and the blind nuts are attached from the floor side of the bookshelf. So now, as we move this over, you'll see I've got two pieces of flooring here. The first piece goes from here to my full extent of travel, and that is for the very first rail. So as the rail comes out, it's being supported by this as a shim, and then it comes to a stop. As we continue sliding it out, the second piece goes from here to here. Now these are doubled up, and it provides the support for the very top rail. Okay, the top rail comes out and goes into two stop bolts. As you can see, I've notched the very edges of the top rail so that they will accommodate the bolts. The stop bolts have blind nuts underneath, and then a lock nut, and then the top of the bolt. And there's just a small space between the lock nut and the bottom of the bolt there that allows just enough room for this to come, for the top rail to slide into. And when that's done, it prevents any flexing fore and aft from the joystick base. Now the top rails themselves look like this. The only thing I did on the top rails is I cut them to size, maybe about, again, approximately 1 inch longer than the actual base that the joystick mounts onto. I notched out the very edge in here, or the leading edge there, to go in with these bolts. And the other item I did is I removed this top rail release. This top rail release is designed, again, when you're mounting these drawer brackets, drawer slides, in a vertical manner. Horizontally, you can't get to this, so there was no reason to have that, and I just pulled that completely off. If I want to remove this joystick completely off of this mounting base, I just unscrew these two bolts, and then the very top rails off of the slide completely off, and I'm able to go ahead and work on the joystick base as needed. The last item I'll show you is the lock for my pin lock. This is just a simple nut that the pin lock drops into. This nut is secured with super glue. Then I took baking soda and put it around the base of the nut and put super glue on top of that. And what that does is that pretty much triples the strength of the super glue on that nut to the bookshelf surface. So that's going to prevent any movement whatsoever. Now this base here, because I have a wood base that I built myself, I just use some simple brackets to attach it. However, you can use this base with pretty much any sort of chair. You just have to think about it a little bit. Even a wheeled office chair, you can get a plastic office mat and then use this base with industrial Velcro to Velcro it, hold it in place, and then you can wheel the chair up to it, continue to use it as needed. And again, it'll still hold all the sliding features. So that's my solution, and I hope you find this helpful, and good luck.